And one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. We tried to go live on Instagram at the same time, so apologize. We are not the most tech savvy two gentlemen here, but we are here. Look, we got, hey, a special guest tonight on the Provoke Coach podcast. So as you know, this podcast was designed to share provoking stories about people that have made provoking pivots and provoking moves in their life. And not only has it made them successful in business, but it has made them successful just all around and all over. My special guest today, I met years and years and years ago. Okay, so this is back in the college days at Ferris State University. Wow, it just brings back and just flashbacks since right. Brad and I talked a while back about him being a guest. Brad Patrick, man, thank you so much for being on our call today.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on here. First and foremost, man, I've listened to all the podcasts, and wow, you've had some great guests on here. So honestly, it's a pleasure to even be on here just to share my story. And let's be honest, let's just catch up, right? To see how you've been and what you've been up to. And if I would have told you 20 years ago that we'd be talking on a video between each other while you're in Florida and I'm in Michigan, you'd have been like, come on now. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's the thing too, is like, really, like what a podcast? You mean like a radio? You mean like a radio station, or like you don't think about things like that. As we fast forward through all sorts of technology, all sorts of fast moving parts. It's just amazing that. It's just hard to think about like our kids on what they're going through. And, even the people back at Ferris, how much has that school changed? Right.
I mean, even while we were there, right. Even I remember when they first got the Myers, right. And we all went to Myers, and it was like, man, it's like being at home, right? Like a Meyer?
A Meyer, right?
Yeah, right.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, it's just, everything fast forwards and it moves so quickly,
Right.
I mean, when you and I were chatting, I don't know, a couple months back,
right.
We were, just trying to, kind of play catch up, and, you were popping names off left and right that I haven't heard in 20 years. I'm like, oh my gosh, how is that person doing? How are they doing? What happened? You think about these things because, look, we're, fast forward again. It's like, I don't know if you're, like a comic person like myself, but it's like the Flash. Right. It's like, boom, you wake up and, here we are, fast forward. Right. That's awesome, dude. Well, I mean, look, let's dig in a little bit. I really want, to talk about, you and what you're doing. What are you doing now?
Well, right now, my wife and I, we started the Patrick Group. We're a real estate team here in Michigan. We work for a company called Brookstone Realtors, which is one of the fastest growing real estate companies here in Michigan. Company's been around. It's going to be going on almost 2 years. My wife and I were one of the first couple people to join in, and now we're already at almost 200 agents, which is absolute. Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. And if you follow in the real estate market here in Michigan, even going through COVID, it's been absolutely crazy. Interest rates being as low as they are. Houses are selling like hotcakes, and we're so short on inventory right now. These young kids who want to buy houses, it's tough to do. It really is. And you got to find a good agent, right? Whether it's me or anybody else in this state, but you have to find a good agent to make sure you put yourself in a good position financially going forward. You're not overpaying. You're not buying a house that's going to cost you a bunch of money down the road. But so right now, that's what our focus is just helping people here in Michigan. And my wife is actually the broker. So she runs all three of our offices. Yeah. Wow. So we have an office in Clarkston. We have one in Sterling Heights. And then we have one in Troy, which is primarily the one that I work out of. But she bounces around to all three of them. And, she's there to help agents, right? If agents have questions, They call her up. She kind of coaches them through how to get things done. But she's just a huge asset to the company because she's been doing this for almost 21 years. So she's, you know, she tells me all the time, she's like, I was in this business when we were using maps. Right.
You're right.
You know,
right. Yeah.
Kind of like when we were talking about off air, or, you know, the technology is insane and how much it's advanced our field. Right. Not just ours, but everybody's. But it's a great ride to be on.
Yeah. And let me ask you, Brad, I mean, now that we're talking about it, you know, you kind of said something there. It's like, you know, you hate to get caught up in the hype out there, right? Because sure, the interest rates are ridiculously low. I mean, things are happening, but on the flip side is like, you know, it's almost like because of what's happening in the world, I think, you know, are people jumping on things too quickly? Are they making irrational decisions, or are they just not making any moves, even if the timing and everything is lining up perfectly?
Well, that's a great question. Well, I think it's a little bit of both, right? Okay. I think it really depends on who this individual, this buyer has leading them, right? Because if you listen to your real estate agent and you have a good agent, I'm going to walk somebody through a house and I'm going to give them the advice, whether I feel it's a good purchase. Because what I tell all of my clients, if you buy a house today, right, I want you to call me in 5 years when it's time to sell it and use me again. And I want to help your friends and your family. So if I put you in a situation where you're going to lose money or something like that, like I have to do my homework on each and every property to make sure it's a good investment for you going forward, because I can't be a one and done kind of deal. I'm not going to build a good business like that. So I have to make sure I put my clients in a great position financially, so that down the road, whether they hang on to that property and rent it out, or whether they sell it and make some money. So to answer your question, it really depends on who they're using as an agent, right? Yeah. Because yes, there are people that are jumping in situations that they probably shouldn't be in, whether it's, let's say the interest rates are low, but are they really taking into consideration the overhead it's going to cost to run this house, right? Yeah, I'm going to buy a $400,000 house, but can I afford to heat it? Can I afford to, you know, can I keep the air conditioning on, right? You know, those are types of things that you got to look at.
You know, and that's no joke. I mean, really, when you're finally ready, I mean, I remember my wife and I, we moved around, you know, in corporate America for almost 10 years, you know, so we never bought, you know, we really were like, no, let's just not worry about any of that stuff. Let's just rent, deposit first, last month, let's move on, because I moved so much with my company. By the time we were ready to really dive in and put our roots in, you know, we went all in. But then a few years later, things started to creep up. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. How much does that cost? You know, like, I mean, you lose an air conditioner, you lose a heater. You're talking about a bigger chunk of change that I think a lot of couples, you know, in families, they don't really think about that. You know, you should have, you know, 10 to 20 grand sitting around in case you need a roof, in case you need, you know, something that is, you know, kind of really traumatic in your home, you know, if you will.
Well, in hindsight, that's a great idea, but unfortunately, the way that
it's not really that realistic. Yeah,
it's not. Right. And, you know, my wife kids them every once in a while. Her thing is, you know, a lot of people are one hot water tank away from foreclosure. Right. Yeah. Kind of to your point, something big catastrophic happens, and you know, you're forced to not, you know, make a house payment, or you got to look elsewhere. And you know, remember back in 2008, 2009, it was tough, man. Yeah. People were losing their homes, and you know, people were put in, like, you know, not very good mortgages where the interest rates would, you know, skyrocket on them because they were in like an ARM or something like that. And next thing you know, the payment got away from them, and they couldn't control it, and they couldn't refinance the house because it was upside down. Yeah.
You know, and it's so funny that we've seen the different cycles in our lifetime. Like, I still think that I'm back at Ferris. Like, I still think like a kid, kind of.
In my head, I'm there. In my head, I'm there. My body
right?
is not
Like,
there. I'll tell you that much right now.
Well, look, I mean, you're only as old as you feel, right? But
that's exactly
I
true.
think that, sometimes, you're kind of naive to certain things because you just want to have fun, you just want to live your life. You just want to do what it is that you want to do. And then, snap, before you know it, it's like, whoa, okay, but, that's on hindsight, the way that we were kind of brought up. It's like that American dream. It's like, go get a good job, make a lot of money, buy a bunch of shit, get in debt up your,
get yourself in debt,
get yourself in debt, like,
then crawl your way out.
Right. And then, crawl your way out. And then when you're 60, who knows, you might have a couple of bucks to, to kind of hang out, and it's crazy, it really is. Well, that's fantastic. Well, I mean, let's talk a little bit more about what you've kind of created in your company. Okay. Obviously you got you and your wife, I mean, Powerhouse and, partnership here. You're doing real estate. She's the, really kind of the broker over what, three areas? Yeah. Three offices that you guys have. Okay. Awesome. And so, let's talk about how did you guys build that? Like, how did that come across? I mean,
well, it's funny you asked. So, we actually met. It's been probably 4 or 5 years now, right? And we actually met during a real estate transaction.
Wow.
So, one of my clients bought a house that she had listed, and we got to the closing table, and of course, we get to the closing table, and the guy who was buying the house was a friend of mine from high school. We reconnected on Facebook, and that's where I get a lot of my business, is reconnecting with old friends, family, stuff like that. And he reached out to me, and we were looking at houses, and she was the listing agent on the property. So, we do the transaction, and I first meet face to face right there at the closing. And she walks in the room, and I was like, holy cow, this woman is gorgeous. Right. And,
nice.
And I'm looking at my buddy. I was like, oh, that's the real estate agent I've been dealing with,
Yeah.
And as the time goes on, it was in the winter, or it was like November-ish when we closed on that house, and we couldn't find her sign. He had taken it down, then it got buried in snow, and we couldn't find it. So she would send somebody out there. They couldn't find the sign.
And this is those nice wooden signs that got her picture on it, the whole 9 yards. So it's not,
for sure,
it's not easy to miss.
Right. But then when you cover it in snow, it is. So it gets buried in snow, and we kind of forget about it, And then a year later, my client calls me up and he says, I still have the real estate agent sign in the yard. And I said, well, let me give her a call and see if she wants her sign. So I kind of called her up and I said, I found your sign. We finally found it. Do you want it? Right. And she says, I'm not working with that company anymore, so I really don't care. And at the time I was working for a property management company. It was actually on my way out. So I was meeting with different real estate agents as well, just talking about how I could help them out in the property management part of the business.
Yeah.
So I asked her, I said, do you want to grab lunch? And this was a Monday. Okay. And she's like, yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. And that Monday, I separated. I left the management company and decided to focus on real estate full time. And so in my head, I was like, I'm going to keep this meeting, might as well. So at Wednesday, we go to lunch and we start talking. We're in downtown Royal Oak, which you know the area very well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And had a great lunch, and really, really kind of hit it off. And it was just
fantastic.
Good conversation. And we kind of parted ways then and just started texting back and forth. Right. You know how that goes, right? You just kind of get to know her and everything like that. And just, what our likes, dislikes are. And we actually said, let's, and my schedule was crazy, at the time, like with my kids. And, I was coaching soccer at the time, and I happened to have that Saturday open. And I was like, well, I got a soccer game in Clawson. When I get done, I'll pick you up and let's, we both love to golf. Okay. So we ended up spending the entire day golfing. And, as you talk about, you and listen to all your podcasts and everything, that provoking moment for me that day was a provoking moment for me, right? I spent
Fantastic.
4 hours with my wife, my, soon to be girlfriend at the time, and we just hit it off. And, just similar interest. And I played golf amazing that day. It was like,
Nice.
it was like the gods showing down on me. And
interesting.
It was interesting.
Was it more that you were showing off? Right? Or did she bring you up? Did she bring you up a level?
What? That's a great point, because as the story continues, I'm going to explain to you how she has brought me up. So it's funny you bring that. Maybe I just learned that's exactly what happened that day, right?
Yeah.
And just things that we can't control. But once right then and there, I knew that she was something special, and I was excited, and we kind of hit the ground running, man. And I was with a company that I wasn't really excited about, and she was working with Keller Williams, and she said, why don't you come over to Keller Williams and we'll work together? And I was like, okay. So she negotiated a pretty good deal for me to go over to Keller Williams, and I made the move, which was nice because I was at a small real estate firm and one of the bigger producing agents in there. But then I went to a bigger firm where I was just small, right? I was nothing at this place. So it was a good jump for me.
Yeah.
And then from there, I was only at KW for 3-4 months, and we got the opportunity. We had started talking about doing our own thing, starting our own company. And we had an opportunity to come to Brookstone. And we were just getting off the ground. My wife and I were like the first couple people that signed up to bring on board. And the way Brookstone is set up, it's essentially like owning your own business, right? The way they the commission structure and everything. So we were like, look,
splits and everything like that. Right.
Yeah, it's really next to nothing. So instead of creating our own overhead and opening an office, we just joined forces with them and then kind of went from there. So that's kind of where everything started, right?
Awesome.
Between her and I. And then we were working together. We were showing houses together, meeting with clients together, which is a great thing because we're walking into houses, there's husband and wives. You pull the husband aside, you're talking about what he's looking for. She's able to talk to the wife and see exactly what they're looking for. And then Sarah and I kind of reconvene and say, well, what did you find out? Where can we help these people? And how can we do it the easiest, quickest, and fastest way? Right.
Wow.
So we just, from the jump, we really made a good team going forward,
Well, and let me ask you, I mean, because I'm sure there's a lot of people, that are going to listen to this and they're like, yeah, right. Like, my wife and I could never work together, right?
I get that all the time,
right? And I've been there because I met my wife at work, right? Like, I mean, and that's maybe a different story for a different time, but we worked together for a shorter period of time, and we've even thought about really kind of combining forces, even at home now, because we just live in a different world, but the reality of it is that it is hard, working with your significant other. It is hard to keep that separate, balance, between each other. How does it work in I guess in your household? I mean, you guys have an opportunity to, to kind of split that off and change that because, that's tough.
For us, it's been pretty easy. Again,
Nice.
we are.
Good for you.
We are kind of I'm the yin to her yang. The things that she's really great at, I'm not so good at, and the things that I'm good at are the things she just doesn't really want to do. So it's just not things that make sense. So when you put us both together, we make one hell of a team.
Fantastic.
But as far as separating, our business and our personal, we do a lot of things together outside of work stuff. We have a motorcycle. I mean, when we get stressed out, we jump on the motorcycle and we're gone, right? Or we get on the golf course and we play golf for 4 hours. I mean, we played 36 holes in one day, just golfing and hanging out and just kind of detaching from the real estate business, right? Shutting the phones down and just going out there and having a good time like we did the very first day we met.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And, and when you can have that, like you said, the yin and the yang, like
it's key.
That's really where relationships get real powerful, is that, there is a difference, right? Like,
Right.
I mean, there is kind of that mesh, that you may agree on a lot of things. You may have a lot of common interest. But
Right.
you're probably very different in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And that's the cool part, right? Is understanding, kind of how that fits with relationships. Well, and really kind of speaking, about this, and really kind of speaking about, the last few years, it sounds like that you've been really, rocking and rolling with this. Let's go back in time a little bit. Like, where did you grow up? Where did you come from? Like, talk to me, I guess, about how you got to that point. Because now that you're kicking ass and taking names, was it always like this?
No. I wish I could tell you that was the case,
right?
But no, that was not the case. So I grew up in Chesterfield, Michigan, which is like on the east side of Michigan, and I went to Lance Cruz North, played basketball, played football, loved sports, still to this day love sports.
Right.
And even then, it was like, once I graduated, I had no clue what I wanted to do. Right. I almost, got a job as a journeyman, or to get an apprenticeship to be an electrician. Like, to even think that I would have been an electrician, I'm the most unhandy individual you're ever going to meet. Right. So It's like, what were you thinking? And then I had the opportunity. Right. I got accepted to go to Ferris. And it was like one of those things that was like, you know what? I got to get out of here. Right. And off to Big Rapids I went, man. And, I got there in 98. And then when I got there, came there with one of my best friends, who is my best friend to this day. He's the godfather to my son. He played football at Ferris. So when I first got there, I was hanging out with all football players, but they were always, practice or whatever. So it was cool to hang out with them. But I had to find my own way, right? And kind of like create a path for me. And that's when I met a guy at Central who was from Ferris. You remember we used to drive over to Central,
oh sure,
party there, come back,
right?
And he told me about my fraternity, what would be my fraternity. And actually today is March 1st, which is the Founders Day of our fraternity. So happy Founders Day to all my fraternity brothers out there from Ferris State.
Nice.
But so I joined my fraternity at Ferris, and that was a big thing for me. I made a lot of friends, lifelong friends, right? How it is, right?
Oh yeah.
Like when we first reconnected a couple months ago, I have, a group of guys that I still talk to, text message every day, whether it's about sports, something stupid, or something gets posted on Facebook and then it comes back in the chat and it's like, I remember that person. You know what I mean?
I know, yeah.
And then not too long ago, right before COVID, I think it was like 6 or 7 of us all met up, and it's been years since we were all together, and it was just like old times, man. I mean, I came home with like my stomach hurt from laughing so hard, and just reconnecting with those guys. But so when I was in the fraternity, I kind of moved my way up. I ended up becoming the president of my fraternity at the time. And, that's like running a small business in itself, as much as a lot of people that are watching be like, oh yeah, president of fraternity, I get it. Like, there was more to it. Don't get me wrong. We had our fun, but we were running a small business.
But it really was, though, right? Like, I had a position in our fraternity as well. I lived in the fraternity house. I was the house manager of all damn positions you could possibly be, living in there. And really trying to, get everybody to, guys, clean up your mess, and, guys, come on, like, let's, don't break the hole in the wall, the keg won't fit, like,
I remember coming to your house one time. We were standing in the backyard and there was a TV that came out the window.
Oh yeah. I mean, and that probably happened more times than not, I mean, it really did. Like, I mean, but that was hard, like you really had to, kind of figure shit out. And, kind of try to, like you said, run a business, right? And still not be a total douchebag to the rest of your brothers, you know, because they would get pissed at you.
Yeah. You didn't want to be the bad guy, right? You know, and when I took over, when I became the president of the fraternity, and I think it was in 2001-ish, we were going through some hard times. We had gotten in trouble on campus. So it was like coming into a crumbled business and trying to rebuild it, right?
Yeah.
They had froze our recruiting. So we were really focused on trying to get more guys, trying to keep the guys that were there. So very similar to things that I've done, you know, after college, you know, and I think that was a great learning experience for me. And then, you know, as that progressed, one of the alumni presidents came out and they would shoot emails out and say, hey, is anybody looking for a job? And somebody reached out to me by the guy by the name of Bill Lauheed. He may even be watching or listening to this. And he started a mortgage company in Bloomfield Hills.
Nice.
So he said, hey, you know, are you interested in a job? And I said, well, what do you do? He goes, I do mortgages. And I said,
right.
I don't know anything about mortgages. He goes, don't worry about it. I'll teach you everything you need to know.
Doesn't matter. Right.
It doesn't matter. Right. And so I joined forces with him, and there was 7 guys that came on like his training program to learn the business. And then and there, that's when I fell in love with the real estate business. Right. And I started from the mortgage business. So I was one of the last guys of the 7 to stay in that company. Right.
Yeah.
And I really liked it. But that was before social media. Right. It's all calling your friends. Hey, you know, who's the first person you call when you get in the mortgage business? Your mom. Let's refi. Right.
Yeah. Right.
Get one under our belt.
Yeah.
So I was in the mortgage business. Yeah. Right. We just refied last month. Damn it. But
I gotta hit another number. You know, you'll be fine. Don't worry. It's a reverse mortgage now, Mom.
Yeah. But that's how I got my start. Is I started in the mortgage business under Bill Lauheed, and I learned a ton from him. He's just a dynamic business guy, and he's actually down in Florida doing insurance, from the last I've heard. But you know, from there I kind of moved to another smaller mortgage company closer to home. I started out in Oakland County, which I'm originally from Macomb County. So I moved to Macomb County and in a smaller shop, and kind of, you know, trucked it out through there. But then things got tough, man, in like 2008, 2009.
Oh yeah.
And
I mean, shit hit the fan.
It was tough.
I mean, especially in mortgages, because a lot of people went into anybody that was a business major, anybody that had, you know, any sort of common sense really at that time. It was like, you know, especially coming from Ferris, you know, a lot of people went into mortgages. A lot of people went into real estate just because everybody was really, really, you know, business savvy and, you know, hungry for money, you know, and very talented, right? Like you talked about what you learned in the fraternity. You know, I got a better education in the fraternity than I got in college, you know. Now,
hands down.
Now, granted, I didn't go to class much, but
you were learning.
I lived in the fraternity house, right? So you know, you pick up on things. You know, you learn hustle, you learn drive, and you know, when you start to mix that with, you know, surrounding yourself with people that matter, right? And brotherhoods and friendships, and you know, like that's how you really kind of get tight, right?
Right. And the other thing about that is when I went to college, I was very closed-minded, right? Listened to a certain music, you know, you did a certain thing. But when you brought all these different people together, like a lot of people, just like you, some guys were from the Macomb area, some guys were from Grand Rapids, some were from the UP. I had a couple guys from out of state. So now you bring all these people with different tastes in music, different thought processes. They grew up different. Some of them had a ton of money. Some of them had zero money, right? So you got to learn a lot about somebody, especially when you spend that much time with them, whether it's your pledge brother who you basically lived with for a month, right?
Right.
Or somebody you learn from. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, or more. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, 100% for sure. They, and it kind of pivots you, in a different direction, right? Like,
Right.
I guess when I went into the working world, I came in charged up, right? I think
Mhm.
that, that 22, 23,
Oh, you're going to take on
24.
the world.
I mean, I went
Take,
in like running like two jobs, like trying to, really just making a bunch of cash. And, what I mean? And, again, a lot of us just shot, into the world because it was like we got all the fun, I guess, and the partying and the hanging out and all that, like out of our
right.
system so rapidly in, 3 to 4 years that it was able
Right.
to, pivot from there. Well, let's talk about, I guess, so what, I guess, took place in your life then after that? Because, here, you got into mortgages, then the economic kind of crash. I mean, did you stay in real estate? Did you stay in mortgages? What did you do
So,
after that?
well, that was a big learning experience that time for me, because at that time I was married at the time, and
Yeah.
I only had one kid, and then it was hard. I didn't know where I was going to go, what direction, and I did some
Right.
odds and ends things, some hustled with some buddies to make some cash, and then a friend of mine and we started a mortgage negotiation company.
Okay.
So what we would do is people would hire us to contact the mortgage company and try to work out the issues that they had, whether they're upside down or
Got it.
the interest rate was going through the roof. We would come in, talk to the mortgage company, and say, "Hey, look, this is what he can afford. Can we restructure it?" And that was really eye opening, right? Because we were able to help a ton of people, save a ton of
Nice.
homes,
Nice.
and it started out. It was my buddy who ran the company, and he basically just gave me a phone and a copy machine and put me in an office by myself. And we were on the radio. I was all over the radio, just advertising, like, "Give me a call, I can help you out." And we
Nice.
built that company into 15, 20 employees.
Wow.
And then we kind of once that kind of slowed down, we kind of transitioned.
Nice.
We took that model and we put it into like a tax resolution company. So
Okay.
very similar, but we were helping people out with taxes. If they owed
Right.
money to the IRS, we would come in and try to negotiate that fee to get it down a little bit lower, maybe get rid of, penalties, interest, things like that.
So
So
you're like the big guns then. Like you're
right.
you're the
Right.
muscle for hire. Yeah, I got a
Yep.
problem over here with the IRS. Can you see what
Yep.
you can do there? Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That takes some patience.
Well, and it
Um,
did. And the thing I learned more, like, in that time frame, is I worked for another great individual who,
yeah,
by the name of Nick Ritz, who owns 3 restaurants
yeah,
in the Macomb and Oakland area, right? And this guy even bought a restaurant during the pandemic, another one in Royal Oak. Like, so
wow,
I've had the pleasure of working with some dynamic people that taught me a
sounds like
lot
it.
of things along the way.
Yeah.
So working with him and building these 2 companies, it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about hiring, firing, being
Oh
organized,
yeah.
right? Dealing with radio stations, dealing with the IRS, dealing with the mortgage companies, dealing with the public. That's a whole other animal in itself, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, for
Um,
sure.
so when everything went down, like, I learned a lot,
Yeah.
in that time. And then from there, I kind of transitioned back into the real estate business and running a property management company. And then I
Yeah.
got my real estate license, and that's when I kind of flipped from the mortgage side to the real estate side. And
Yeah.
that's when I found it. Like, I was like, wow, I really like this. I enjoy helping people. I love I love seeing houses. I love going touring houses. It's
Yeah.
just, I always tease, but I say I was built to be a real estate agent. I
Right.
really, really, truly enjoy helping people and doing what I do. It brings the
Well,
best.
it's not the same, right? Like what you just got done describing, I mean, and quote me if I'm wrong here, it is the same for the fact that you wanted to help people, right?
Right.
Like there's an obvious, right? similarity that keeps taking place, throughout your working career, up until this point, where you've wanted to help people along the way, right? Whether it's help them get out of a bind,
Right.
or get into something better or anything along those lines. But now you went from really kind of managing and leading, like you were saying, hiring and firing, bringing on people, to now not doing that? Or do you still do that with your company as well, to where you
No,
bring people in? No. Okay.
no. No, so the way I'm set up right now is I'm just my own independent agent, and obviously I work
Nice.
with my wife. So as far as
Sure.
the Patrick Group is concerned, it's just my wife and I. Do I
Fantastic.
see us maybe growing it a little bit bigger? We'll see.
Yeah.
Our oldest son, who's 18, is in the midst of taking his real estate exam. So
Nice.
he's going to he'll be coming on board to help us out and learn the business, right? To kind
Right.
of get an idea of what it is we do. So
Yep.
that'll be a nice addition to our team, because it'll take a lot of stuff off my plate and
Well,
allow
and
me to
that's legacy for your family as well, right?
for sure.
Is to really kind of build it inside, of your parameters, right?
Right.
Inside of your window there. Well, that's fantastic. And I know that you guys give a lot to the community as well. Talk to us about that. I know that's not just
So
about making a bunch of money, right? It's about really providing back to the community.
Right. So a while back, about a year and a half ago, and I can't even tell you how great the company that I work for is. Brookstone Realtors is a very dynamic company, and what they did is they started a little group called Brookstone Cares. And what
Yeah.
we did is we all volunteer, all of us agents, and so it's not just me and my wife; it's everybody at the company, and we
Nice.
donate. We donate money, gifts, and everything. So what we've been doing these last couple of Christmases is basically adopting a family in need. Okay, so
Fantastic.
we go drop off presents on. I think this year we did it like 2 days before Christmas, and some of the agents will go out and go shopping for. They'll have a list and they'll go shopping, and then some of us went and delivered the presents, and we had the opportunity. Sarah and I, we brought our two daughters. So
Yeah.
Morgan, who's 16, and Peyton, she'll be 15 on Thursday.
Wow.
Um, so they got to come with us, and it wasn't,
That's
and they got to
fantastic.
see, and help, deliver the presents and everything. So, it's good for them, man, because
Yeah.
these kids, I know mine, they get a lot.
Yeah.
They're very privileged in what they have.
Yeah.
They're hardworking girls. They both have great grades and great kids. I have great kids, but you have to see all facets of the world, similar to what we were talking about. Like when we went to Ferris, you
Yeah.
saw people who had money, people who didn't have money, but I thought it was a great experience for them to see, the other side. Right. And
Oh yeah. Well,
giving
and
back.
that's how they understand gratitude. I mean, it's just, I mean, my wife and I, and my mother-in-law and my daughter, we went to go grab a bite to eat the other night, and we stopped at a red light, and the homeless and me, I mean, they know who I am. Every time
Right.
that I'm there,
Right.
hey, they know me by name. It's,
Yeah.
I roll down your window, and every time I do it, she's just, she's in awe. Dad, why'd you do that? Well, what do you mean why? Like, now she knows, right?
Right.
But it's just those itty bitty reminders, I think that, are extremely important, and especially around the holiday season. Like that's
Yeah.
it's
Especially
such a
this.
depressing time sometimes, and with everything that's going on in the world, I mean, depression rates, I don't know what those numbers were, but they got to be extremely high around the
Right.
holiday season, and it just kills me. I mean,
This year
look,
was really tough, right?
yeah,
People couldn't see their families.
yeah,
So it was really cool to be able to be a part of something like
to be able
that.
to provide that and give that back. That's
Right.
fantastic that you guys are able to do it. And I know that we had kind of talked a little bit about you guys kind of extending that a little bit, and maybe doing it through other parts of the year, or
Well,
maybe as a company. I know they were looking at that.
the plan as it to grow is, to try and raise more money and do some more things. But right now we're doing they want to do something around Thanksgiving time and some other things. But
Yeah.
It's just basically building that fund. We're going to do a golf outing this summer, and hopefully we'll raise a little bit of money to contribute back to Brookstone Cares. And then that way we can do more things for it. But, the sky's the limit with stuff like that. And, and like I said, I can't even stress enough what a great company I work for, and some great agents that are just willing to help, man. We work hard, but we want to give back as much as we put into it,
Yeah, of course. Well, and that's important for everybody, right? Like, I start my day off every day with gratitude, you know what I mean? And instead of, all the crap that's out there in the world, right? Like, it's easy to jump on your phone first thing and see, who's being a jackass, right? It's like, your entertainment, who's a dumb shit today, but it's even harder really to kind of grasp and just be at peace and have that gratitude. So, I'm glad that you're sharing that with your family, because I don't think a lot of people do it, for that reason, right? Like, it's just like, some people donate money and they don't even let their family know that they donated the money, or don't get them involved in, where should we help, today, it's like, get everybody involved in that.
I mean, and honestly though, as parents, we want to pave the path for our children, and we want to point out the things like that we want them to continue to do the same thing. Because who knows, you never know, you could be in need of that as well one day, right? I mean, I don't care things happen, man. And as we learned in this past year, you can't predict anything, right? And nothing is for certain.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you said that, because it is the truth, right? Like, it doesn't matter how bad shit gets, somebody's got it worse, and somebody's, really on the bottom of their game, And I think we've all had our dark moments, we've all been to, in our lives, at certain points, throughout life, to where it's, darker than others, I mean, that's just what somebody needs, just like when we were talking prior to this, conversation tonight, if one person, right, can be provoked enough to do something, then, mission completed, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Well, I mean, do you, I guess, because you're, quite successful in your business, quite successful with your family, and, I mean, look, everybody's not perfect, but you're kicking ass and taking names. Is there any one little nugget that you can, kind of provide to people, that really kind of has helped you throughout this success?
I think my biggest thing is just, for a long time, like, I always thought I got married right after college. I thought, the kind of like, that's what I was supposed to do. And I just wasn't happy. Right. And I come to find out I wasn't happy. You think you are, but you don't know. And as it comes down, and like, I think the biggest thing is you have to have confidence in yourself, right? You have to build yourself before you can. I heard it once in time. You have to love yourself before you can love others. And I think that that's where I was lacking. Like, on the outside, everything seemed great, but on the inside, it wasn't. And honestly, it wasn't. I mean, I'll be 42 here in July, right? And it wasn't until almost 6 years ago that I saw that. Right, 6 years ago is when I kind of like opened my eye and was like, you're heading down the wrong path, man. Like, this is not how this is supposed to work. I was partying, I was drinking, I had 2 kids at the time, and I wasn't happy. And, and I made the decision 6 years ago to no longer drink alcohol. Like, that was
fantastic,
a point in my life where, everything started to work out for me. Right. And when I separated myself from that and started working on me, that's when things started to happen for me. That's when good things started to happen. Success started to kind of grow around me, and, it just kind of snowballed from there. And then the next thing you know, I met my wife. And then, and the thing that I love most about my wife is that what she does is she constantly is pushing me to be better. Right. Whether it's I come home with a success story or she says a success story, it's like, awesome, good job. Let's go find the next one. Right. In the past, I had people around me who they're always like, Brad. But now it's more like, okay, great. Now, how do we get better?
Right. How do you make the next step?
And in order for me, and I think that why I've become successful where I'm at now is a lot of hard work and a fantastic partner, right?
Yeah.
Somebody who believes in you, like who's a
Yeah.
cheerleader for you. But it also, and I think the key part is also your biggest critic.
Yeah.
Right. And she's going to tell me when I'm wrong, and she's going to correct me when I'm right. And I think that is, and if anybody has asked me what my key to success is, it's having a great partner. And that's why I can stand here today and with a smile on my face and be content on who I am and what I'm going to bring to this world. And before I leave, and I always tell everybody, I said, there's two things I want people to say about me after I'm gone. Number one, I want them to say that he loved his wife and he was a great husband. Number two, that he was a great father and a role model. If I can have those two things when I leave here, I think I did something really great. And that's kind of like the focus that I want to stay on and continue to help people, right? And when I can. And there's people that call me all the time and ask me questions, and I don't get paid for it. I don't get paid till we close, but I'm always willing to lend some sort of help, or because I truly, like, whether it's, helping a family or helping a family in real estate, or like, I just enjoy helping people when I can.
Right. Well, and you're giving, right? Like you're really not asking for anything in return. And like what you said, which I thought was fantastic, you fell in love with yourself and you made a decision, like you said, 6 years ago. And people go through this, I've dealt with addiction in my life, and you just make a fucking decision one day that says that here's where I'm going. Right. And then you do it. Right. It's just that's exactly what it is. It's not that simple. It's hard as shit, but
it's easy to say, right?
Yeah, it's easy to say, right? Yeah, sure. But you make a decision, and that could be, not just addiction, that could be in any part of your life, right? You make a decision to love yourself first and give yourself first, right? Like all the gurus that tell you about money, what do they tell you? Pay yourself first. It's the same concept. When your cup is overflowing, okay, there's plenty to go around, and that's what you're doing, Brad. I mean, that's what you've done. Every career path that you've taken, these relationships that you're building. I mean, you're right. Your wife, I can't wait to get her on the show. Okay.
We'll get her on here.
That'll be fantastic. Cause you talked a lot about her. I was like, yeah, man, this is going to be awesome.
She's pretty dynamic.
That's fantastic. Well, you guys are a superstar team. You build a great family. Thank you so much for telling us this story today. I mean, I took some good nuggets away from this. I'm glad that we record it. Too bad we didn't do it on Instagram, but whatever. We'll
maybe next time when we get Sarah.
Yeah, maybe next time we'll figure that out. Right? We are from Ferris after all. Give us a break here,
Right.
Like, we didn't come from MIT or any of these other awesome schools to teach us all this cool technology, right? So well, that's awesome. Just for everybody that's listening out there, everybody that's viewing right now, that's watching this live, the reason why I had Brad and the reason why I have everybody else on the Provoke Coach podcast is to share provoking stories. So what we would like you to do, these are, totally free, totally great nuggets. Share them, send them out, give them to somebody, tag somebody, anybody that needs to hear some of, Brad's story today, any of the stories that we have. We're going to try to, definitely raise money for Brad's company. So guys, if you get a chance to download it on iTunes or Spotify, really any place that you really listen to any podcast, you most certainly could do it that way as well. And just share it. Because any of the money that we raise there, we're going to be able to give back to the great causes, that we're passionate about. So Brad, I do appreciate it, my man. Hang out here for a second in the studio, and hey, we'll see everybody later.
Awesome. Thank you.